Well, good morning. The time has arrived. The title for today is Changing the World is No Easy Task. I know, it's an understatement. There are probably more people living on Earth right now who realize that the world needs a massive reorganization than ever before in human history. It may not yet be a majority, though it could be. Suffering, as I see it, has reached a level that pushes discontent to the surface, even for those who don't like to face such things. Even in the Western world that has been lulled to sleep by a false sense of security, people can feel change coming. It seems to be in the air, and I believe that is a global thing. I wonder how much easier it would be if people would only recognize and drop the programming that either encourages non-participation or violent reaction. To me, these programs are designed for one purpose only: to maintain the status quo, which cannot be maintained no matter what. The only question is, how painful do the changes need to be? Or have to be, is what I actually typed. Last night I went to a concert to hear my friends Armand and Angelina perform their Age of Aquarius concert at the Aquarian Dreams right here in my local area. And I get to hear them a few times a year when they happen to be in this area. They live in Central Florida, but over in the Orlando area. And they come here, as I said, a few times a year. And they travel all over the country as their normal routine of singing in various churches and for various spiritual organizations. And he gave a quote last night after a conversation with me before the concert from, I think, Wayne Dyer, who said something to the effect of, if I can remember it, the world is perfect just the way it is, even all of the people that want to change it. And that's a tongue-in-cheek thing to me, because the world is perfect just the way it is nonsense to me. I mean, only a person in denial would make that statement. But that is part of the what did I call it? Non-participation motif, if you will, that has been programmed into the human psyche. There's nothing you can do about it, so you may as well just not look at the negative stuff, just focus on the positive stuff, and everything's going to get better. And this is a program that I see running in me, and I see it running in a lot of my friends, and I see it controlling a majority of people that claim to be awake spiritually, and yet they do not see themselves as playing any role in bringing about change, because they are of the school that the world is perfect just the way it needs to be. That's a program, folks. And it's a program that can only serve, as I see it, the power structure or the political structure of our world. It's a program that causes people to not take action, to not take responsibility, to not become involved, personally involved, in actually bringing about the changes. Now, I've said different times that the ambassador and I have talked about this idea of who is responsible. And I get frustrated when people say it's not the leaders that are responsible, it's the people. And to me, again, it's a paradox. What isn't with the paradox man? Because both have elements of truth in it. Now, the powers that be to maintain the status quo have two programs. One is non-involvement. Don't get involved. Don't participate. It's a non-participation motif that has been given on the spiritual side of us. You have to focus only on the positive and ignore the negative, and the negative will go away. That's how you can change the new world. And the other one is fight like hell, violent reaction, Those are the two programs that serve the elite agenda, if you will, or the agenda of maintaining the status quo and the structure of a small elite running the world that wants control and wants to maintain the matrix and the old world order of ignorance and domination. And I see this all the time. I mean, it's what I look at. And no, the world is not perfect just the way it is. I'm one of the elements that Wayne Dyer recognizes, that it's perfect to see that there's a need for change. And my concern is that if allowed, the cabal, the negative leadership of our world that has been in control for so long of the monetary system, the court systems, the media, the education system, the medical system, even the food system has been controlled by people that, as I see it, are pathological liars. They're psychopaths, they're sociopaths, they're people that are truly insane. And these are leaders of our culture. And to say it's not their fault is insane to me. Of course it's their fault. They're the ones that have put the mind control technology into existence. They're the ones that have been poisoning everything in our planet. They're the ones that have been ordering all of the bad stuff that's happening around the world, including all the wars, all the violence, all the murder, all the rape and the pillaging of the earth and its resources and its people and its life forms. These are the people that have been responsible for that. Now, could they do it if everybody was awake? Well, of course not. But what does awake mean? Does awake mean somebody that recognizes only the take no action spirituality, the spirituality of denial? Are those people who claim to be spiritually awake, are they really awake? Or have they been lulled to sleep by the lie that whatever they do makes no difference? Have they been lulled to sleep because there's fluoride in our water and in our toothpaste and in other poisons in our food and genetic modifications? I saw a video yesterday that says viruses do not exist in nature. They are it's nanotechnology. They are created by man to forward the eugenics program of reducing the world population. Bill and Melissa Gates Foundation are heavily vested in that, and so are a lot of the other leaders. Now, these things, to me, we have to take responsibility to change, and we're not going to do that if we believe that we can't do anything. We can do things. We can raise our voices. We don't have to fight with violence. But I also believe that Spirit, or God, or Creator, wants us to wake up. And nature itself, God will work through nature, because that is the manifest part of the Creator. The Creator is manifest in creation itself and in the creatures that have been created. And we will wake up. We will have a different world, simply because I believe that's the will of the Creator, to bring all of the children to a place of awakening. Now, I don't believe we helped Creator and creation at all by living in denial. You've heard me say that again and again and again. And as I said in, I believe, yesterday's video, referring to Aristo's video, saints are perhaps the masters of denial, those that want to be so positive that they don't pay attention to the shadow elements, and not paying attention to the shadow elements only makes them get louder and more obvious. Have we not reached that point where they are pretty loud? that we realize the cacophony that's going on in our world, that we see on the mainstream media, especially in the Western culture? Do we not see that this is happening? And going to sleep and denying it and pretending that the world is perfect just the way it is a false sense of security. That we don't have to do anything, that God just is going to bring about the changes. Yes, God is going to bring about the changes. I believe that. But there are also people that want to help God by creating tribulation, because they feel if they can make conditions on earth bad enough, they will force God to act. And that's what they want to do. They want to force God to bring calamity and cataclysm to the planet. That's what's in the prophecies of the Bible, where it talks about 2/3 of the earth being destroyed, where it talks about major upheavals in the solar system and on the planet itself, where there are earthquakes, massive earthquakes and tsunamis and all sorts of other things happening. And there are people that believe that because the Bible says this and because our prophets have foreseen this thing, that this is what's going to be. And they are almost dying to, and the death wish again, as the psychopathic death wish. They are dying to see calamity, catastrophe. But it doesn't have to be, folks. This is the thing that wrenches at my soul. It doesn't have to be. We do have the power to shift even natural events on the planet. And I don't believe that events are just happening naturally, even though they've seemed to be happening naturally for eons of time, for a long time. I do believe that human consciousness plays a role. The people play a role in the type of governance we have, the type of system we live in, and even in nature itself. Because everything that is inside of us is reflected outside. So what would happen if we recognized, instead of that we can't do anything about it, so we may as well deny it and turn our face and look somewhere else, or on the other reaction is to fight like hell against everything we don't want violently. I mean, these seem to be the options that are placed before us, but isn't there a third option? Isn't there an option of getting involved and raising our voices and calling for change, calling for the people that are trying to push for the fulfillment of Bible prophecy and all of the doom and gloom prophecies that have come down to us through the ages? Isn't it time that we raised up a voice and said, no, we can do this peacefully and not violently? We can employ some of the tactics of Martin Luther King and Gandhi, of course. We can apply some of the wisdom of the Taoists, as well as some of the Christian and the Jewish and the Muslim and the Hindu, and all of the wisdoms of the world. Can we not apply these without denial and without violence? I'd love to see that middle path, that we could take that middle path as a people who are awake and aware enough to recognize that, yes, you can scientifically say that physicality is an illusion, because really all it is energy at various states of vibration and movement. We can say that it's an illusion, that physical is not real, but we don't experience it as not real. And experience, to me, as I've often said, is always real. What if we took responsibility, not only for our own lives, but for the world that we live in? And we chose to do this together. We chose to stop the programming of the Matrix, which advocates one or the other extreme, non-involvement or violent reaction. And we chose the middle ground of recognition and responsibility and a proactive movement to change things. Now, those proactive movements exist right now. They exist on this planet, all over the planet, all over the planet. There are people trying to wake other people up and trying to create something positive so that we can live at peace and we can stop the insanity of war, stop the insanity of violence, stop the insanity of cataclysm. We have it, as I see it, in our power to do that. The only question is, are we going to find a consensus, a will to make the changes peacefully and not look for and try to trigger the cataclysms, not try to trigger the worst case scenarios? Is there not a best case scenario? I believe the ambassador wants that, although sometimes he gets caught up in the prophecies like everybody else. Sometimes so do I. But we need to make a change, folks. We have before us the possibility of creating a world that works for everyone. I believe that. I wouldn't keep doing these videos if I didn't believe it. That's my mission, and I'm asking you, please consider the two options that are placed before us in the matrix and choose neither of the above. That's what we have to do in voting. We have to say none of the above. We don't like the choices you're giving us. We're choosing a new alternative. We're choosing to love, but also to be active and to bring tough love to those that continue to push an agenda of control and manipulation and fraud. We've got to end this, folks. And I pray that more and more people at the high end and the low end of the human spectrum, when I say the high end, I'm talking about the people that have been the controllers, the Illuminati, the elite. When I talk about the low end, I'm talking about common people. We need to somehow find within ourselves the way to bring these two elements together, because together is the only way we're going to make the changes and tackle the difficult task of changing the world into one of peace and harmony and truth and justice. Thank you for listening. Namaste.